this is a story that happened to my dad. Back when he lived in India and was around 14 years old, my dad lived in a relatively rural area that wasn't far from patches of vegetation or forests. He and his neighbors' houses were roughly connected through a small walkway and a back door, as if you were entering through someone's backyard. He and his neighbors had several servants in the houses who did chores and other work, and there was one girl in particular who was typically cheerful and would come to his house to fetch the fresh milk from his cow. One day, she walked into the house in a very strange manner, as if she was completely tired, dragging herself through the door with a blank expression on her face, practically limp as she walked around. My grandmother asked her, "What are you doing? Stop behaving so strangely," and grabbed the milk. After that, she walked back into his neighbor's house in the same manner, and my dad didn't give another thought about it. Then, a few moments later, my dad heard a scream and people yelling, "Come quick." My dad and his parents rushed into the neighbor's house and they saw the girl on the floor being restrained by 3 grown men who were also servants of the house. Her arms and legs were thrashing, flailing about, and she was shaking violently despite the men being really strong and holding her down. She was still flinging her arms and legs effortlessly as if she wasn't being restrained at all. My grandmother yelled to get a witch doctor, and at this point, my dad started to look pissed off. He yelled at them to get a real doctor to help her out since it looked like she was suffering from a heart attack and needed real medical attention instead of spiritual help. Nobody listened to him, and after 15 minutes, the witch doctor arrived. Meanwhile, the girl was still being restrained and shaking violently. The witch doctor, assessing the situation, took off his slipper, grabbed the girl's hair, and smacked her on both sides of the cheek. My dad was almost about to restrain the witch doctor, getting even more enraged, thinking they're making the situation worse for the girl who's already suffering. But then she stopped shaking, still on the ground with her eyes wide open. She lay there, and the witch doctor, still gripping her hair, said, "Which tree did you come from?" The girl remained silent, and the witch doctor asked again, "Which tree did you come from? If you don't tell me, I will trap you in this bottle." My dad was slightly perplexed at that statement, but went along with it. By now, there was a crowd of 30 people all around the neighborhood gathered around the girl, checking out the commotion. The girl then released herself from the grip of the witch doctor, got up, and began walking towards a forest separating the neighborhood. When she stopped in front of one of the trees, she collapsed and woke up confused, seemingly back to her normal self, now asking what happened and why everyone was surrounding her. The witch doctor explained what had happened, and the girl stated that her mother had visited her the night before. Her mother had died a long time ago, shortly after she was born because of a train accident. It is said in those parts of India that spirits inhabit banned trees, and not all of them are friendly. My dad still says that if those guys were somehow acting in an elaborate prank, they did a really damn good job at fooling some dear people in the village. If not, however, then I don't think it was her mother that visited her that night.